Hi there, I'm Megan Wolf. I'm the Young Adult Services Manager at St. Paul's Hollywood Library, and welcome to our Back to Basics series through Charleston County Public Libraries. Today we're going to be talking about some of the cleaning basics. So regardless of where you're cleaning in your home, there are some things that you should have. You should have white vinegar, awesome cleaning solution, baking soda, another great one. Bleach can be really useful if used appropriately. Some kind of detergent, dish soap usually works, and then any kind of antibacterial wipe. So most of the cleaning solutions that you're going to use, you can make using this. So a solution for dusting would honestly be a vinegar water mixture, maybe with a couple drops of essential oil to make it smell nice, spray on a rag, and dust. But before we do any of that, we are going to start and go room by room for a couple of cleaning tips. So we are going to start in the kitchen. Here we have a dirty blender. I use the blender a lot to make smoothies and frozen coffee and other things like that, but you don't really want to stick your hand and a sponge in right next to all those blades. So quick and easy way to clean your blender, a little bit of dish soap, run a little bit of water, not too much, maybe up to the first or second line. Warm water works better, but you can use cold. Put your top on nice and tight. Plug in your blender. Nothing but suds. If you've got any extra little bits or pieces, you can use a sponge to wipe it off, but your hands don't have to go anywhere near those blades. Just make sure you give it a good rinse so you don't have any soap at the bottom. Nobody likes to taste soap in their smoothie. All right, let's do the sink next. All right, the most important thing you need to know about cleaning surfaces is check your cleaning supplies to make sure that they work on certain surfaces. You don't want to use bleach on anything porous, so no wood. Definitely if you have a granite or polygranite countertop, don't want to use it on that. And a lot of things that have finishes on them, the bleach can eat it away. So really make sure and be careful what you're bleaching. I'm going to use an all-purpose cleaner. I'm just going to check, and usually on the bottle somewhere it says where I can't use it. So this one says test on painted surfaces before use, but since we're just doing the inside of a sink, no worries, I'm good. So all I'm going to do is spray all around the inside. Make sure you get up in the corners and down around the drains, because that's where you get a lot of gunk. All right, and all you're gonna do is take a damp sponge and start at the top and work your way down. If you get any big pieces of gunk, you're going to want to just wipe them towards the drain. So if you have a garbage disposal, all those scraps go right into there. And if you have a little sink catch like this, they go right into the catch and they don't get stuck and dirty up the drain. You also want to get this little area right around the drain because it has a habit of collecting little bits of food or sticky stuff. there's a good chance you will find something gross in your sink, but that's why you're cleaning it. And then once you've scrubbed, you want to thoroughly rinse, because a lot of the cleaning agents, you don't want to leave them on for really long periods of time. So I'm going to rinse out my sponge. If your faucet doesn't have a detachable head, you can do this with a cup. Or my personal favorite, the spoon trick, which is you can use the spoon to redirect the water. All right. And voila, clean sink. For the faucets, you can use a little bit of all-purpose cleaner on your napkin or your towel or your cloth and just give it a quick once over. All right, clean sink. Bathroom sinks, just like kitchen sinks, except they're more likely to be porcelain and you can probably use bleach on them. Again, double check with whoever it is that is in charge of the sink, whether it be your parent or your landlord, to see what chemicals are safe to use on it. And you gotta do is quick surface wipe down. Rinse off. If there's any stuff on the inside of the sink, if it's a dried toothpaste, hair, anything like that, just give it a quick scrub and a quick rinse. And then, just like with the kitchen faucets, damp cloth, maybe a little bit of vinegar solution, quick wipe off, and that just gets the little water spots off. All right. Let's do the tub. Once you've got your tub and shower nice and clean, if you don't want to have to do this every week, there is a really simple solution. You can mix up vinegar and water again, same proportions as before, or you can look something up on the internet or buy something from the store. When you're done showering, just spray it all over the inside of your shower. Wait a couple of minutes, take a squeegee, and squeegee everything off. It keeps it nice and clean, and if you're doing just a little bit of maintenance every time you shower, you don't have to really get in there with scouring powder and bleach-based sprays and all of that, because nothing's built up that you have to wash off. Depending on what your walls are made of, you should just be able to use spray-on cleaner. They're usually called something that involves the word bathtub or tile in it, or just any bleach-based cleaner is probably fine. And you're gonna spray. Really go for maximum coverage because you get a lot of standing water in the shower, and that is where mold likes to grow. All right, and if you are in a smaller bathroom, which I am, you want to either open a window or put the fan on so the fumes don't get to you too much. And again, we're just gonna check. Spray product 4 to 6 inches from the surface until thoroughly wet, check. Let stand for 30 seconds and then rinse or wipe clean. So I can't reach everywhere in the shower with the shower head, so I'm just gonna run the tub tap and dip the rag in, wipe, dip the rag in, wipe. And like I said before, make sure that the cleaners that you are using have the same ingredients in them. So if you're using a bleach-based spray, make sure that you're not using a scouring powder or something that doesn't have bleach as that base, because you don't want to cause reactions, especially in a poorly ventilated area where you're going to be inhaling all sorts of weird fumes. We are doing the tub next, and just a reminder, before you clean, make sure you're wearing clothes that you don't mind getting chemicals on. I'm wearing old yoga pants and an old t-shirt, because if they get bleach spots or they get discolored by any of the cleaners, it doesn't matter. I'm not wearing them to work, I'm not wearing them to school. So I like to use the scouring powder for the tub, and a lot of scouring powders it's powdered bleach and it's safe for tub use. So all you want to do is get everything a little bit wet. And then once everything drains, because you don't want to wash all of it down the drain immediately, you put in a little bit of scouring powder. And again, just like with the sink, make sure that your landlord or your parent or whoever is in charge of the thing that you are cleaning tells you what it's made of and that it is approved for bleach or for scouring powder usage. Just to be sure, because you do not want to mess up your tub. So I like to make a little bit of paste in the base of the tub with some scouring powder and a good old scrubby brush, and then bathroom is the place where bleach-based products like disinfectant wipes shine, because plastic and the sealed glossy porcelain, that's what it's for. So when you're cleaning your toilet, first you want to wipe everything down. If you don't have an alcohol wipe, you can make a bleach and water solution. It's about 3/4 of a cup of bleach to a gallon of water. So a little bit of bleach goes a really long way and you don't want to overuse it. So I'm just gonna wipe down the whole thing. I always remember to get the flusher because it gets touched by everyone that uses the bathroom. I'm gonna get the undersides. tell that I have a dog because somehow dog hair got onto the toilet seat. Make sure you do the underside. If you have people who are going to be urinating standing up, there's a good chance there's going to be some splash. And you want to make sure you get underneath the seat and around the lip of the bowl to get all of that. Same deal with the face of the toilet. Just give it a quick wipe down. And it's all porcelain, so it is all good to use bleach on, provided you are using it safely and responsibly. All right, cool. Next part is we're going to do the toilet. You can use the bleach water solution I mentioned earlier, or I really just like concentrated toilet bowl cleaner because you put it on, you wait, and then it does the work for you. Now we witness me being physically incapable of opening a bottle. Come on, dude.
You may do it.
Got it. I got it. All right. So this one has a lip, so I'm going to stick it up underneath and just squeeze steadily as I go around. You can see the solution coming out already. And let's see, instructions say let's sit for 30 seconds to sanitize. To disinfect, sit for 10 minutes. And then to clean, scrub under the bowl the entire room. Toilet brush, get right underneath there, because that's where you're going to get mold growth and all kinds of other nasty stuff. And if you get some gunk on your brush, just dip it right in the water. Okay. And then once you've got the underside, just do a quick once over on the inside. Even the area that the water usually covers. I like to get back there in the drain a little bit. And it's just going to sit for 10 minutes to sanitize, and then we'll flush it. All right, so there are some important things you need to know before you clean any portion of your house. One of them is when to use and when not to use bleach. If it is on a porous surface like wood, or a treated surface like wood, or some plastics, or a lot of metals, you want to be really careful and you don't want to use bleach on it unless it specifically says somewhere safe for insert surface here. Also, bleach is always, always, always concentrated. So there is never a situation in which you should use bleach without mixing it with water. Not a single one. Additionally, don't mix bleach with anything else. Bleach does a really good job all by itself. It does not need any extra help. And when you mix it with other cleaners, you might cause unintentional chemical reactions that can be damaging to you or whatever it is that you're cleaning. Same thing goes baking soda. It's an abrasive, so the point of it is to scuff things up and get things loose. If you are trying to scuff things up on a really glossy surface or on perhaps an antique, you don't want to do that. It might be a little bit too rough and you could scratch up whatever it is that you're doing. Vinegar is honestly pretty safe regardless of what you're using it for. But again, most of the time, like bleach, you need to dilute it. You shouldn't really need straight vinegar for almost anything. And then alcohol wipes often have bleach in them, so same rules. Don't spray something down with another chemical and then use a bleach wipe to clean it up. Don't use it on furniture, and double check the instructions on the back that says what surfaces it can be safely used on. All right, so now that we've got all of that, let us get some more cleaning done. The next thing we're going to be cleaning is the stove. And depending on the type of stove you have, depends on what kind of pickup you have to do before you clean it. Since my stove is gas, I just pulled the racks off the top. And I can also pull little caps that go with the gas. But I'm going to leave those in. If you have an electric stove that has plug-in coils, you're probably going to want to take those coils out, and then you can clean the dishes on the inside as well. So for this, and again, like anything else, you are going to want to test a really small surface area first, just to make sure your cleaning agent isn't going to scratch or damage whatever it is you're cleaning. Baking soda is usually pretty safe because it's an abrasive, so it gets some stuff off, but it's not super powerful. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of baking soda straight right on my stovetop, and I'm going to make a little bit of a paste with some water. And this is just going to be a little abrasive paste, so you can see we've got some buildup here, got some buildup here, and all we're going to do is take a little bit of the paste. Yes, I should have taken that off. And rub it down. You might have to put a little bit of elbow grease in there. It doesn't feel like it's coming up. But we're going to do the same thing on all the sides. And if you are spread a little thin, a little bit more baking soda. If it's a little bit too dry, a little bit more water. And this is a pretty good solution for actually cleaning a lot of different things, because the baking soda does a really good job scraping up dried on stuff or bits of old food or anything else really. But it's not a super strong, like, chemically smell. You don't have to worry about fumes. It's pretty much just a really easy, natural way to clean off some of your surfaces. All right. Once once you have your paste all spread out, you can start wiping off pieces and just see what needs doing left. So it looks like most of the food on this side came off really nicely, but there's still some crusted on stuff right here. So for that, this is where you get to bring in your vinegar, do a little bit of science. Just a tiny, tiny bit of water. You want this paste to be a little bit thicker. You can use your fingers, you can use a sponge, and you're just gonna make sure it's right over your little problem areas. You can work it in a little bit if you want to. It's a little easier to work that way because it gets under the edges. And then all we're gonna do is we're gonna take our vinegar. And most of you guys did volcano experiments in the 2nd or 3rd grade, so you know exactly what happens when you mix vinegar and baking soda. It releases carbon dioxide bubbles. So as you pour it in, as the carbon dioxide and that reaction is happening, it's helping lift the dirt and ground food off of your stovetop. Reaction will stop once it runs out, and then you can keep rubbing that around, or if you have any more problem spots that you really want to work on, you can make another one of those pastes and try it again. And for this part, all we're gonna do is wipe the stove off. So if you have a bucket of water, that's really useful, or if like me, you're right across from a sink, all you're gonna do is wipe a bunch of stuff up, rinse off your sponge, do it again. And I think you can probably figure that out by yourself, so I'll see you in a minute to talk about sweeping. Sweeping is pretty basic, and if you're gonna mop, always sweep or vacuum first, otherwise you're just putting crud all over the floor wet. So I like to pick a starting point and an ending point. I sweep from one direction, and then I make sure I'm always standing in the clean side. That way I'm not tracking more dirt around as I'm sweeping. So as I'm sweeping the kitchen, just starting on one side, working my way across, and then make sure you're getting under things like furniture or the edges of countertops. As you can probably tell from everything I'm sweeping up, we have a dog. And so we have a little bit of a dog fur problem. And part of the way we can keep the house neat is by making sure that we sweep or vacuum really regularly before some little puffs of hair turn into tumbleweeds. And once you're done sweeping, I'm going to try to corral everything into one little space. It's really easy if you have a tile kitchen, because then you can just decide which tile is going to be the dirt holding tile. Alright. We got all our fluff. Oh. And we're just going to take a dustpan, sweep it right up. And if there's little extra bits, like we've got some sand, you're just going to go back and forth. Until you get the last of it. And dump it into the trash. And in a second, we'll mix up a mop solution and we're going to mop. If you buy a mop solution at the store, all you have to do is follow the instructions. But if you don't have mop solution in your house, as long as you have some vinegar and some dish soap, you're good to go. All you need is a bucket. You need about 1 gallon of water. My bucket has lines on the inside, so I can turn it on and just wait for it to go on the right line. You're gonna get half a cup of vinegar. And then you can either add a couple of tablespoons of dish soap or a couple of drops of essential oil to make it smell nice. All right. And because this is going to get really sudsy, you can clean it or mix it up by adding more water, but I'm just going to use the mop to do it. And like I said earlier, always, always, always sweep or vacuum before you mop. Because if you don't get rid of the dirt, all you're doing is getting whatever's on your floor wet and pushing it around. So just like with sweeping, I like to find a start point and an end point. But instead of standing in the clean spot, you stand on a spot that hasn't been cleaned yet because you don't want your feet to get wet. So I'm going to start over here. Just start on the side of the kitchen. You get your mop good and wet. You want to wring it out because you don't want it to be dripping. You just want, there we go, a nice damp mop. All you're going to do is is use it like you were wiping with a cloth, back and forth. At some point you might get to an area where you find a sticky spot or a tough spot, in which case you just lean over and scrub it. Some mops have handy little scrub brushes at the bottom of them, and that's really nice. Mine doesn't though, so you just gotta scrub. And as you clean, you will see the water get noticeably dirty, and that's all of the gunk that you are picking up off the floor. The floor is wet. Thank you. All right, there are two kinds of dusting you can do. You can do damp dusting or dry dusting. Dry dusting involves using a feather duster or some other kind of duster or microfiber cloth and just wiping down everything. Works the same way with damp dusting, except you get your rag a little bit wet first. So I got mine a little bit damp, not damp enough that when I squeeze any water comes out, but enough that it'll pick up any dust or dirt that's clinging to it. As you dust, what you want to do is move anything out of the way. So if you've got knickknacks, you want to run the cloth over them and also dust under it. For books, I like to just go over the spines. And then a great tip is you're always going to be moving forwards or downwards, so any extra dust or dirt is going to go on the floor, and after that you can just sweep it right up.